I learned about the recipe when I was young and reckless. See, now I'm chasing the glory, gonna be fine. Working so hard, matter of time. Never give up, how we define. Taking my chances, breaking I climb. I'ma show them how it's done. On the top level we run. For Osiris, for my son. We show up and pack a punch. This is war. We step up, we gon' never fold. This is legacy, they gon' know me when I go.
So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious. Where you stand and spit upon the ground. But when those horns sound off, pray to the Lord, you've been righteous now. I say rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
This is war, we don't stop, what's in store, where we start, we deploy. They don't wanna see us win, so we gon' show them all the voice. To the top, we enjoy, when my partners don't avoid. Want the glory, silence noise, here for life, made a choice.
The smoke clears the air. I'm the only one standing. The darkness lifts. There lies the freedom in front of me. So I will start on this day. The rise of kingdoms to come, and we will no longer be named by the weather above. So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
Let it be, all that weakness, rest in peace. I learned about the recipe when I was young and reckless. See, now I'm chasing the glory, gonna be fine. Working so hard, matter of time. Never give up, how we define. Taking my chances, breaking I climb. I'ma show them how it's done. On the top level we run. For Osiris, for my son. We show up and pack a punch. This is war, we step up, we gon' never fold. This is legacy, they gon' know me when I go.
So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious. Where you stand and spit upon the ground. But when those horns sound off, pray to the Lord, you've been righteous now. I say rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
This is war, we don't stop, what's in store, where we start, we deploy. us win, so we gon' show them all the voice. To the top, we enjoy when my partners don't avoid. Want the glory, silence, noise. Here for life, made a choice.
The smoke clears the air. I'm the only one standing. The darkness lifts. There lies the freedom in front of me. So I will start on this day. The rise of kingdoms to come. And we will no longer be named by the weather above. So rain down on you one, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
Let it be, all that weakness, rest in peace. I learned about the recipe when I was younger, recklessly. Now I'm chasing the glory, gonna be fine. Working so hard, matter of time. Never give up, how we define. Taking my chances, breaking a climb. I'ma show them how it's done. On the top level we run. For Osiris, for my son. We show up and pack a punch. This is war, we step up, we gon' never fold. This is legacy, they gon' know me when I go.
So rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious. Swords where you stand and spit upon the ground. But when those horns sound off, pray to the Lord, you've been righteous now. I say rain down all you want, but our power is in the sun. And when our planets do align, our nation will become victorious.
This is war, we don't stop, what's in store, where we start, we deploy. They don't wanna see us win, so we gon' show them all the voice. To the top, we enjoy, when my partners don't avoid. Want the glory, silence, noise, here for life, made a choice.
The smoke clears the air. I'm the only one standing. The darkness lifts. There lies the freedom in front of me. So I will start on this day. The rise of...
What is going on, governors? Chiscool here, and today I'll be casting the Ark of Osiris League Season 6 Finals with Dragothian. Drago, how you doing this morning?
Oh, it is the morning. I'm doing fine. No, I'm doing fantastic, actually, if you're asking me. I'm really happy to be here with you, Mr. Chisco, and certainly it's a pleasure on my end.
Yeah, you know, it's early in the morning for us, but it's also possibly your last big cast on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, man. How you feeling about that?
It is. It's a little, we were talking about this earlier. It's a little bittersweet. certainly I'm going to miss not only doing this with you, but certainly all of you fine folks out there in Chatland and in the world of Rise of Kingdoms. I've developed quite a relationship with all of you, and if this does end up being my last cast, I just want to say thank you to everybody out there, and certainly thank you as well, Chiskel, for hosting and entertaining me, and then certainly also just obliging me for my quips and witty remarks.
Well, hey, we appreciate you, man, and I think we're all hyped to see today's freaking matchup. This should be a good one for both of us to cast. It's the final battle between 1021 and OneV. And, people went into this thinking, oh, OneV's won the Osiris League before. They're going to beat 1021, right? And then the first matchup, boom, 1021 beats them. So then OneV comes back, and then they win. And the scores are just so close in these games. I mean, a couple thousand points here or there, which means now we're in game 3. So, Drago, what do you think is going to happen here in game 3 of season 6 of the Osiris League finals for the Realm of Horus?
This can't be my last cast without you asking me a question that really nobody in their right mind could possibly answer. But I think that both teams are here for a reason. They both won a match in the finals, and we haven't really seen in the Realm of Horus a back-to-back champion for the most part. I mean, even OV for instance, I mean, they have multiple championships, but they're separated, right? I mean, they didn't win season 2, so I mean, I'm curious to see, is OneV going to be that team to really kind of solidify themselves as the de facto incumbent champions that need to be beaten, kind of like what JST did a few years ago? Or is 1021 going to put themselves on the map and continue that trend? I personally think that we're going to see another quality match. As if you're asking me what I'm expecting to see, I mean, both matches that we've seen so far are less than 4,000 points difference from both sides. So, I mean, that's an art, guys. That's somebody deciding not to provision. That's that's a combination of all 3 phases of the game that just a little bit here and there goes a different way. The butterfly effect crowns a different champion. So I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I agree that this could be a very close matchup. And every now and then, Drago and I get on the cast and I ask the question, how many points do you think will be the differential between their score? But this is a match where I think we're pretty well aligned. That's probably less than 5,000 points. Mm-hmm. And it's probably even less than that. These teams put in the work. And to your point, Drago, even OV has won a season and then didn't win the next season and then came back and won another season. And if you don't constantly put in the work as a team, you fall out of the meta. You fall out of strength for knowing exactly what to do and when. And the timing is just, it's really intricate in this game mode. So although it's easy to understand conceptually, grab arc, score at own building, the execution is
such an easy game. I don't think everybody do it.
It's so easy. Anybody could do this. It's actually so much more complicated and nuanced than that it's honestly quite remarkable. And I think it's kept players pretty entertained for quite a while. Now, the developers have said that they want to add some flair to Ark of Osiris, which I think is going to be pretty cool. So we'll be very eager to see kind of what that looks like down the road. But today, we get to watch OneV and 1021 slug it out one last time in this 3rd round of the finals for Season 6. Now, if I'm not mistaken, should be able to enter the game here. So I'm just going to go really quickly and get us set up to do that. Drago, as I get us ready to enter into the game, do you think there are any big surprises we'll see today? Or, and this is an okay answer too, this is what I would say, probably, are we going to see the same sort of strategies that these teams have executed in the past couple weeks?
Well, that's what's gotten them here, Chisco. I mean, I think that, when we're looking at both of these teams, they all have kind of similar strategies. I don't think I saw anything really relatively majorly different, except for maybe the beginning last match we saw not using hard push, trying to get those extra points for that middle fight that we saw. Blackpink trying to get that extra, right? Or I'm sorry, 1021 trying to get that extra advantage in the middle, and it ended up not working out for them, which was weird considering when they had the same amount of points for that second arc, they ended up beating 1034 1V in the middle. So it was just counterintuitive, right? They did everything they needed to do at the beginning of that match to really kind of have a solid advantage to win that first arc. And then the second arc, they were basically even, and they ended up winning it without the advantage. So I think that both teams here can do what needs to be done to win. I'm really, really excited to find out who's going to be crowned champion.
Yeah, I really liked that changeup that they did, by the way, and I'm glad you reminded us of that. They basically didn't use hard push, which saved them 3 ability points. That's huge. 3 ability points is a lot. I mean, you know, as one single 3-point ability, you could use Bog Down, reduce the enemy defense by 30% and their march speed for a 30-second window, which in these big fights in the center, I mean, that's the difference. So I'll be eager to see if they go for the same play this week or if they fall back on their tried and true. As a reminder, by the way, we've got 1021 in blue and we've got 1V in red. So in the upper left portion of the screen here, we've got the team in blue. That is 1021. Little emoji with the shades here on their alliance leader from Blackjack. And then all the way down in the bottom right, that is 1V. Pretty hyped to see this play out. Yeah, man. Here we go. Now, you know, one thing I like to peek at the start is whether or not they send provisioners. Some teams seem to not send provisioners, and they just run more marches out to try to get that initial structure grab. So, here we go. The battle begins. The final battle. The battle that determines the winner of this season of Ark of Osiris League. The fast T1 troops on their way, looking to get some captures on the obelisks and outposts. Some marches, interestingly, having more troops than others here. I personally don't like to have too many T1s in my city, so I'm with this player over here with the 1T1, and some siege are on their way here. So they are doing provisioning right out of the gates, and if we look at the opposing side, we see if that strategy is mirrored. Simplified graphics come off. And I don't see any provisioners on the side of 1021. And I think that's a smart choice for them. They lost the last match. They're looking to get edge. Last matchup, they brought edge by not activating hard push. Now, Drago, speaking of which, has either team activated hard push?
I haven't seen it yet. And, I mean, we're coming to the point where it needs to have been done. So at least to get the march speed for the rally.
Yeah,
rallies are leaving right now from 1V side. I'm staring at them going through the main base as they start to approach their front gate. And I will say, just to counteract what 1021 did, not sending provisioners, 1V did send provisioners. So there's at least 2 people with, I saw about 4 marches running out with T1 siege, going each direction from that gate, right and left. We do see more and more marches pouring out of each side of the gate. We do see that 1021 has grabbed both of their obelisks and 2 outposts already. Conversely, only 1 obelisk and just now 2 outposts for 1V. So a little bit behind, just like it was last match, honestly. Looks like 1V was just a smidge behind from an initial capture standpoint for the buildings that you can get before all these buildings release and the game officially really truly begins. I'm not really seeing anything different, though, from an overall, movement standpoint. Of course, we're seeing massive amounts of troops heading towards both opponent obelisks, or both opponent desert altars, I should say. And there's going to be a massive scrap in front of those, and that's going to be some points up for grabs here pretty soon.
Yeah, we just took a look through some of the commanders that these folks are using as the primary. We see a lot of Ethelfled, which is not too surprising. We've talked about how she's really a superstar in this game mode in the past compared to the Trajan. But look at this. We got an Ethel William on the part of 1V here. It seems like a lot of people are ditching the mixed troops bonuses in order to take advantage of the single troop typing, if for no other reason than the march speed on the cavalry. They've got 15 base march speed points faster than infantry. So they really do move quickly here. And, as we look through the primary commanders, the XYs are very, very popular here. Guans, of course. And then there's a blend of Jonah Nevsky and even a Saladin. And what I think is really interesting here is just everybody brings all their cavalry for this fight. This is it, man. Just get here fast. You're either early okay? Or you're irrelevant for this fight. So you got to get here with the calves real fast, because you don't want to be irrelevant in these altar brawls, because this is the thing that both teams are going to contest here. And look at this speed from 1021. Nevsky and the XYs here pulling up to the front and initiating first blood in the match. We're looking for combat here outside the Desert Altar, 85 seconds. Those marches peeling off and looking to reposition with the rest of the grouping here. Both sides getting a sense of how they want to approach this.
Yeah, I'm staring at both Desert Altars just like everybody else here. And I will say that 1021 is arriving earlier than, to the 1V Desert Altar than 1V is arriving to the 1021 Desert Altar. But I think 1V is arriving more in mass. And that's going to be a big difference when you're trying to push another group off of a structure. 1021, while they are there maybe earlier with maybe 5 to 10 marches, 1021 is still going to be overpowered. Like right now at the Desert Altar on the bottom lane, 1021, while they are right on top of that Desert Altar, they're still streaming in. Whereas on the top lane Desert Altar, 1V has really already massed up and is already pushing towards that Desert Altar and fighting against what 1021 has to defend with. So I don't know if necessarily one's got an advantage over the other, but to me, you want to have more of a mass and 1 point when you're doing these big brawls. I do also see 1V, just something to note, peeling off marches to go towards the Shrine of Life as well. Let's see if 1021 is mirrored. They certainly have. Looks like both sides sending about 10 marches to the Shrine of Life, respective of their opponents, to see if they can snag that outside lane structure too, with just 7 seconds left until these things open up.
Yeah, I mean, really no stone left unturned here for finding points from an opponent. The Shrine of Life, although it gives you a healing spood bonus, which is really not all that relevant. We've got 1V creeping in there with the Nevsky, and this Jadwiga got really left stranded. Look at this. They're getting a little bullied by a Lohar over here. Literally, that Lohar bullied them off that physical position, even though there's really not a reason they needed to run. So, this ring around the rosy that you see the Jadwiga doing is actually extremely common. The goal is to make sure your garrison captain doesn't get knocked down, but I think they got so carried away doing that, they missed their opportunity to actually just enter the structure when it was free.
Mm-hmm.
So now 1021 is left to swarm, and Nevsky's got great anti-swarm. Okay, great is maybe an exaggeration, but 30% health when you're attacked is pretty good. And really now strong. We've got Jan Ziska in the garrison. So this really escalated quickly, but given the proximity of the 1021 cities, they should get a hold on this one pretty quickly. And the altars are roughly even, although look at this. Sharks circling in the water here around this structure to swarm it. Yikes. Down at the altar.
Oh, yeah. It's looking a little suspect on the 1021 side top lane. There's still quite a few 1v marches there trying to take that structure back, although it does look like they may have enough to just be able to squeak out that edge. And confirming, by the way, neither team did use hard push. So 1v saying, hey, maybe we should do that, and deciding not to use hard push. So no advantage to either side from a points used standpoint. Both teams should have their full complement available to their first march. But we do see the Shrine of Life 1 minute 20 seconds on the bottom lane, trying to go blue to get those first capture points, which again is not anything to sneeze at. It's 400 points. And again, both these matches have been decided by about 3,000 points or less. So 400 points, while it doesn't seem like a whole lot, it can stack up. It can stack up very quickly.
Yeah, I think if you're 1v, you really have no choice here but to mirror the play made by 1021 of not using your ability points at the start. And I think the reason for that is that 1v is so dominant in the middle. They just need to make sure they've got enough ability points to win. And if you make yourself unbeatable in the middle, you do generally win this game mode. Hard to lose if you can take all the arcs. So I think it's a fine strategy to say, you know what? Let's just take away that edge that you had last time around and see how this goes. And we do see 1v getting that Shrine of Life over here. So they are going to get those points. Do you know if first capture points flipped over? I assume they hadn't.
I stared at them. They did not. They had about 30 seconds left until they were going to get it, and that's where hard push would have come in. Does hard push
exactly? Yeah.
That would have been 400 points for them. Is that let's see if they use these points to their advantage in the middle as we start to see 4 minutes until this arc spawns. These teams are going to start jettisoning themselves towards the middle. Large line of marches coming out the 1v side at the starting base. Same thing for 1021. Huge line coming from starting base and outside lanes. Everybody's got their own structures now. There was a nice little push from both sides, but ultimately everybody's going to get the points that they should have. And once they get those 400 points from the Shrine of Life on the bottom lane, 1V will basically tie this match up at what would be 2,900, almost 3,000 points at this moment. But in the meantime, you see more outpost harassment by 1V. We do have one player running around with a double C, snagging these outposts. And again, that little bit does make a difference, guys. I know it doesn't seem like it. It's only 30 points per minute, right? But
big.
If you're doing it to all three outposts all game, those 30 points turn into 90 points per minute. And then you're talking about 50 minutes, right, of match where those 90 points per minute can be ticking points for the structure game. That's a big deal.
I mean, yeah, this guy could just bounce around between these structures. And the thing is, it's 30 points per minute, but it takes 3 minutes to recapture your structure.
Yep.
So that's a 3-minute disruption minimum. So we're looking at 90 points of disruption every time that happens. Plus, if they actually keep it, then they get even more points. So it's a pretty big deal here. And this guy's just running around. I mean, this is a zone that's not where the fighting is, right? And instead, this guy's just gonna go back to the other one. He's just gonna do it again, right? He's just going to keep ping-ponging between these. And, one thing I wanted to talk about as we wait for this center brawl to unfold here is about that hard push play at the start. And then the fact that the teams didn't do it. Now, if we look at the points per minute here, right, it's, about 590, 500 points per minute here. So when you capture all the structures earlier at the start, another way to think about that is that it's like a free 500 points.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're literally scoring points at those buildings for 1 minute longer in the matchup than you would have otherwise, because you're getting the buildings sooner. So there is upside, and there's reason that people use hard push all the time as the sort of staple entrance into this game. It's not a coincidence, but we are sort of commenting here on the nuance of having not chosen it, which I still think is really interesting. And Drago, what do you think these teams are going to do with the 3 extra points? What would you do with 3 extra points for this fight?
That's a great point. You mentioned Bog Down earlier. That's not a bad one to think about. You do have the mending pouch skill that people have started to maybe try and incorporate a little bit into the middle fight to get that extra little bit of heal. Seeming to me that heal is kind of OP in these mid fights, really kind of extending the longevity, trying to get that first win. Now, second win, maybe to the death is a little bit better, but initial win to me, Heaven's Grace has been a little bit more of a top performer, in my opinion. You do also have some other ones. We do have on the structure game side, Tear Down. You could also use the skill that gives you a little bit more protection on the Desert Altar. That would be a good one. In fact, maybe 1021 could have used that on their Sky Altar. They've lost the Sky Altar on the bottom lane. It is now red. Also, Obelisk going down in favor of 1V as well on the top lane, and both altars are down. Take. This is big moves for 1V. I wonder if the signals they are more going towards structure game.
To the death?
Early.
Wow.
Heaven's Grace.
There's Heaven's Grace. Too. See, I was expecting a Heaven's Grace, but I was not expecting it to the death. So this is going to get really interesting. So both of these teams just keying into how important this first arc is. It may not be worth more points, but they want to set the pace of the fight here. Wow. Well, we're nice and zoomed in on the action here, trying to see who will emerge. What's your read on how this is going so far, Drago?
I'm seeing more blue than red leaving the middle with sad faces. This may be a sign that 1021 is losing this first battle, and that's a bad thing for them. They started off so well, but losing all their structures right before this mid-fight, almost all their structures, and then also on top of that, losing this mid-fight could be devastating. Starting to see it even out a little bit. 1V losing a few more now than 1021 is. Looking a little more blue at this point. Was very, very red. 1V really does not need necessarily to win this first fight. They've done a great job on the structure game, already up almost 800 points on the scoreboard, and it's looking like it'll be even better once these buildings start ticking over. 30 seconds until this obelisk goes to the red team, and maybe could be some Portons there too on the top lane. Maybe not enough to take that back in time. Sky Altar still is on the red team and ticking points for 1V. This is going to be an interesting play to see if 1021 can rebound from this, because honestly, they need this middle fight to win. It looks like they are starting to win this, by the way. They do have the building and also starting to have the field, but I think 1021 is going to be on the back foot, even having this first arc.
Yeah, I mean, they really sacrificed their buildings, and 1V punished them for those choices, but that also means 1V didn't have as many troops in the middle. Now, do you remember which of these teams actually was the one that used to the death?
It was 1V.
It was 1V.
Yes.
Wow. So they don't have that in their toolkit anymore. The rest of this match. So really clean, well, I'd say really clean grab, but it's actually not secure yet. So let me not get ahead of myself. I'll wait until this arc is actually secure before I call it secure. Because, Drago, we have seen too many times a carrier get ambushed. And that is why we haven't moved the camera off the arc yet. Although at this second, okay, there's not much going on.
Everything's kind of
look around here, you can see, look, we're already forming up here. So if you wanted to assault the position that 1021 has created, you see the arc is going this way, which it does seem to be doing right now. You take the Desert Altar and you try to score it there. That's an option. And we can see a non-trivial number of these marches forming out to go and do that. Now, they are pressured here at the Shrine of War, which I think is an okay play. I feel like I would have preferred these marches to go back with the carrier. But it is possible that all these Joan Nevskys, and it's just so interesting to see when a team uses Joan Nevsky and then, oh, that's Nevsky Minamoto. Okay, ooh, they are mixing it up. Look at that. Minamoto, everybody. In the top tier gameplay. The best of the best. And they use Minamoto. I mean, you love to see the diversity of commanders, and he fills a role here. Fourth skill makes the target 10% chance.
Good
to take 30% more all damage. It's a big deal.
Shrine of War goes down.
For 3 seconds. And there it is. That swarming does exactly what you would expect. And look at the safety, the precaution made by that carrier here. You know, if by default you ran this thing home, it would run about, I don't know, a couple inches to the right on the screen here, right? But they're very purposefully steering a little bit away from where 1V can get to, except Double C thinks that's very funny. You think you can stop me? They pop into a node. Hasty departure. Pop into another node. Hasty departure again if they want it. And this carrier is going to drop briefly anyways.
Yeah, I don't think that's probably actually for the best for 1021 with an Ethelfled carrying this arc back. You want to have maybe, you know, that Nevsky there or the XY or even maybe the Double C that's right above it to go ahead and snag that arc and grab it back. That Nevsky minute actually be perfect for that purpose. We do see 1V trying to push the structures again, but now that 1021 has solidified that arc pull and has gotten back their initial starting buildings, they're starting to solidify their front against 1V's push and starting to hold everything that they possibly can. 1021 doing a great job of re-grabbing everything that they lost during that mid-fight to try and minimize the best they can anyway what 1V was able to do from a structure game standpoint during that mid-fight. It is about an 1,800 point delta in favor of 1V right now, but obviously 3,000 points are in the bag right now, currently at least, for 1021. And now starting to take a little more of an aggressive line towards that obelisk area is the 1021 arc carrier, Witcher. But he does look like he will make it back there with relatively zero problems. 1V continuing to press up towards that Desert Altar on the top lane. I don't think this is necessarily a push for the arc, but just trying to continue the assault towards Desert Altar and trying to get those points stopped ticking for the 1021 side and ultimately try and get more and more points for the 1V side.
Wow. I mean, this is really even.
Yeah.
Which is unusual that you have an even board state like this after one side gets an arc. Normally, it's actually a little lopsided in favor of the team that did not get the arc, because you've got 30 to 90 seconds of sort of head start to get fresh marches onto the field. We can see some of that advantage panning out here as 1V takes the Shrine of Life, but Shrine of Life is not the points per minute that is going to offset what just happened.
It's not. I do think, I will say, I want to point out, 1021, you know, you had made a point about maybe instead of sending those marches to the Shrine of War, which they did ultimately take, instead of sending them back with the arc carrier. I think that, you know, obviously hindsight, but also just as it was happening, I was thinking to myself, that was the right play. for two reasons. One, it gives you the chance to snag those points, which ultimately they did, but also it stops those reinforcements that are trying to get towards the arc carrier for that second battle that tends to happen at the top lane of the middle lane here before the arc is really officially secured. It stops people from getting there, and it starts to bring people towards that Shrine of War, so they've got to retake it back. That gives the arc carrier plenty of time to get back towards their own obelisk. And then conversely as well, it stops the flow of people coming in to take that desert altar, which again allows 1021 to push forward and have a buffer zone from the people coming in from 1v versus being on the back foot and being mostly defensive. So I think that's going to prove to be a little bit more of a solid play than maybe initially meets the eye there. That was exactly what they should have done. It stopped so many things from happening, and ultimately maybe screwed up the timing a bit for 1021 or for 1v as they use hard push now, by the way, with 37 minutes left, 38 minutes left in the match. Maybe screwed up the timing a little bit for 1v to push up the field for that second battle and ultimately to harass these buildings, which would have taken away from 1021, kind of solidifying their position.
Yeah, I think 1v using hard push there is just a really, really dangerous spot to be in. So it's dangerous for a couple of reasons. I don't think it's bad, but what it means is that if 1021 decides to score the arc now, then they could have a point advantage in the next mid-fight. Now, the reason that you want to use that ability now, if you're 1v, is that you really want the help taking these buildings. And there we go. The building flips here.
Good
now it's only a 1 minute
push.
capture time, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, good timing on hard push. All 4 altars being owned by 1v. This is exactly what they need to do to minimize that arc capture. Really, they've already kind of done most of that during the mid-fight. Really, it's a 2,000-point game, 2,200-point game right now in favor of 1v. That's obviously going to go by 800 to the opposite side once 1021 captures this arc. But with all 4 altars currently red and likely going to start ticking points in favor of 1v, this may actually be a 1v game already, and we just don't know it yet. And that's exactly what they've done as we look at all 4 altars continuing to stay red.
Wow.
This is the way to go.
4 of them?
Yeah.
Sheesh. That is a lot. Now, okay, we watched one of those flip back here, as we were just saying, all 4. But it's really impressive when a team can, in fact, get all 4. So 1v is really taking full advantage of that ability they used there. 4 altars is exactly the kind of play you need to make here. And they've done it, briefly anyways. Now they're holding on to the last one. Where are you at these days with Garrison Captains, Drago? Jadwiga, Janziska. I mean, Nevsky probably is not where you're at, but that's the captain right now. Where are you at with which Garrison you'd run if you could have your pick of what to use here?
Well, in my opinion, optimal is Cav. Now, obviously, Nevsky wouldn't be optimal primary, but secondary actually not too bad at all. Taking down that rally from a single target standpoint, and then on top of that health bonus that you described earlier, that's very helpful in these situations, providing longevity for the structure. But I mean, whether it's Jadwiga or whether it's Jan, I think it's relatively minimal difference for the most part. I do still like Jadwiga just from a movement speed standpoint, being mobility commander and garrison, and that's really what is kind of key in Osiris League and Arc of Osiris play, is not only having a stronger team than your opponent, but also executing your strategy. And just as importantly, that strategy needs to be built around mobility, being able to get across the field, not only with your regular marches, but reinforcements, garrisons, all benefiting heavily from mobility. Now, also one thing to point out, and I think this is going to be something that's really going to possibly sway the game into 1034's favor, 1v, continued harassment during these outposts. I mean, every single outpost has been reset like multiple times throughout the entire match. We're about 20 minutes into the match. I think maybe 1021 has gotten like 100 points from their outposts. It's so low. They've just been harassing these all match.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just looking around the map here. Where are you at? With the amount of troops you should commit to that activity. How many players should be doing that backfield disruption?
I think until your opponent really kind of sets a garrison, right? So if they're setting a especially a proper garrison, if there's 2 marches in there, then you start to pull back from that. But that means that 6 marches that would normally be in the mid fights or at the structures are no longer there. You just got to keep paying attention to it. As long as your opponent is not really defending those outposts, you got to put a person on there. Maybe 2 marches would be the way to go. And if you have 2 marches harassing those outposts, right, and then that forces them to put at least 3 marches, right, 1 in each outpost to defend, or possibly 2, depending on how full you want those outposts to be, that's a net positive, right? And then if you get them to do that, like right now, I know that at least 1 or 2 of these outposts is now garrisoned. So then you send those marches that were harassing outposts to go kill provisioners. So you're still denying points. You're still harassing the point generation of your opponent, and you don't really need to go that far. A lot of your provisioners are in fact right beside those outposts. There's tons of little caravans there, as we see. Let's see. Yep, there's a Guan garrison in the far left 1021 outpost now, trying to stop an XY from grabbing. It looks like he stopped it, and now it's moving on. Again, that's a Guan that's not on the field, not only not causing damage to school, but not silencing targets, which again is one of the best parts of having a Guan on the open field.
Yeah, Guan has really lasted a long time. I mean, when you think about the age of these commanders, I do see a Boudica Tommy on the field over here. And so Tommy's got age on Guan, not by much. I mean, what are the oldest commanders we see on the field here? Isong takes the prize.
Yeah.
And then there's Minamoto, right? Technically, Minamoto's older.
Yeah.
Double C. One of the first commanders you can get in the game, right?
I mean, all of them are good options.
Yeah, I mean, these are all, older generation commanders that still have hyper relevance here.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Isong with Honda Tarakatsu. That's something I haven't seen before.
Trying to speed up that rage gen, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah. And that march speed on Honda. It's good. So good. 20% march speed that's a big number to put onto any march.
Currently,
rally.
So currently, Chisco, just to kind of set everybody up for the right expectation here, Arc is still not captured. It did go down for a second when it was getting harassed by one of the outpost / caravan harassers from OneV, but it was repicked up. And in the meantime, OneV has done such a great job of harassing these structures and continuing their push. Now we see the Arc getting captured here. That it's now still 1V's game. So they're up by 1,000 points after having the Arc captured by 1021. 1V is still up by 1,000 points after losing that first fight by 3,000 points. Now, did they make him? Here's really the question, right? Did they make a mistake using to the death on that first mid fight? I mean, that's now unusable for the rest of the match. That means at least 1 more, possibly 2 more arcs could spawn where no to the death is available for 1V, where to the death is available for 1021 alongside of obviously all the other redeployable alliance skills like mystical formation, like war drums. Can't use Heaven Grace this next time, possibly, depending on how long it takes to get those points back, but maybe possibly for a third arc.
Yeah, I mean, typically that's the rotation, although it has been, I think, the requisite amount of time that you could use Heaven's Grace again. I believe it's a 10-minute cooldown period, but it's been a long time here.
That's true.
Could be longer, but typically you see that rotation of War Drums and Mystical, although in this game, they had extra ability points, so they used their big abilities you normally see for arcs 2 and 3 sooner.
Yep.
Those combinations that use Heaven's Grace and the combination that uses To the Death. So it's going to be interesting to see how they cycle that and what they weave in here, because, once you've used Heaven's Grace, you really can't try to contest another arc for a very long time. If you don't have To the Death anymore, like that's it. You can't push a mid-fight because you don't have any abilities to use in the middle anymore. You just have to try to wait long enough that you can Heaven's Grace all over again. And with the amount of time we have left in the match, if they stall, could this be a 2-arc game? I think so.
Yeah, I think if 1V wins this mid fight, they're gonna hold it until there's only 2 arcs in this game. If 1021 gets this arc in the middle, I feel like they're gonna have to go for a 3rd arc. They're not winning on the structure game by such a large margin right now, losing their Shrine of War, by the way, on the bottom lane to what was relatively not much there from 1V. So the rest of the buildings look very solid from a defense standpoint, but that Shrine of War went down when I don't feel like it really needed to. And that's 2 minutes of not ticking 80 points per minute. That's a big deal. I mean, every little bit's counting right now. They're down by 1,200 points right now is 1021. They need everything to go their way right now for the rest of the match. 28 minutes left until this match and this season has a crowned champion. This mid fight is going to be a big deal. This mid fight here coming up is going to be a major, major deal. Does 1021 decide to use to the death at this point? I think they do. Does 1V counter that with Heaven's Grace? I think they do. But then what happens after that? And what happens during? Is there another structure push by 1V to continue that initial momentum they got from this first part of the match? Or do they really go all out on the arc this time and allow 1021 to do that to them? Let's see.
I think the big question that I'm left wondering is, what skills did 1V put on the bar? What do they got? Do they have another combat ability? Because if they've run with what they use historically, then the answer might be no.
1V's going all in.
They're here early.
Yeah.
They're knocking on this door so early that I almost wonder. I mean, 1021, hello? You are going for the arc, right?
They are.
Are they?
But they're late.
Are they even going for it? I guess so. Here they come. Wow, that is... They're a little late. I would say only really late if a couple things happen. One, if 1V actually pushes like all the way up to here, then they could be late. They could be at such a position disadvantage. Or two, if they don't get to the fighting spot in the next minute and 50 seconds, right? At the 2-minute mark is when I really start to get anxious about your ability to fight on top of the temple.
They're pushing forward right now.
Yeah, they're moving in. So if these guys can't be in position at the 2-minute mark, then in my eyes, they are absolutely late. Oh, wow. This is going to get really interesting to see if they attack or not. And I'm very confused. They got half the people back here. Okay, now they're all moving. See, 1V can't attack here. They can't. They want to. You see, they really want to, but they can't, because they have too many people that are not connected. So the problem with 1V attacking now, even though it seemed like they had the advantage, is that they've got this whole canyon of distance that they now have to walk extra, okay? This whole length. And so what's happening here is that 1021, it didn't look like they had numbers, but all of a sudden they got all these people here. And so if 1V had tried to push, they would have been the ones outnumbered. Even though they started with more people, they did not end with more people, because of that extra distance that they would have had to walk. So this is why I sort of was suggesting, as long as they're here by the 2-minute mark, Drago, I think they're on time. Later than 2 minutes, and I start to think maybe you're late. But, by the way, if you're enjoying the live stream, throw a like on here and consider subscribing to the channel and drop some hype in the chat. This is big. Arc of Osiris League Finals. Drago, what do you got?
So I'm looking at some of the other structures. One, there was 4 rallies from 1021 that either got canceled or just were transfer rallies, because there was 4 rallies to 1 in favor of 1021, and now the Sky Altar on the bottom lane looks like it will go down in favor of 1V. So this may be, I mean, it's going to be very close, I should say. This Jan Ziska holding up very strong against what was almost an inevitable capture by the 1V Joe Nevsky rally. Let's see if maybe this March comes in just in time. It's going to be a very, very close reinforcement. It does go down in favor of 1V. That's devastating. That's 300 points gone for 1021. At least 400 or 300 points. And now this mid fight's going to be coming in. This is going to be, I mean, to me, this is everything. This is the match right here.
This is the match. And it's about to happen. Who has more abilities they can use. I mean, if you're 1021, you use War Drums, Mystical.
I mean, you throw
the
this
death.
kitchen sink at this
Right?
thing.
You use all 10 ability points, don't you?
This is a 3,500 point arc right now. So right now, 1V is up by 2,200 points. They need this.
Mystical deployed to 1021. War Drums deployed by 1V. War Drums deployed by 1021. They're set up.
So double buff for 1021, single buff for 1V. Now let's see when
Combat
they use
breaks.
Heaven's Grace. They're going to wait to the
To
death.
the death for 1021. That's 10 ability
Look for the
points on the
green.
board.
Look for the green. There it is.
Heaven's Grace for 1V. Do they have anything else on the bar, though?
They've got to.
No, they don't. They
Oh, boy.
don't have any other abilities on the bar. This was my fear. This is grim for 1021. Or sorry, for 1V. They just don't have any other abilities on the bar. So they're... Oh, man. They must not even have enough points to use Mystical Formation. Oh, man.
I mean, they've been leading the majority of the match, and there is something to be said about that from an alliance skill generation standpoint. And now 1V losing the Shrine of Life on the bottom lane while this mid-fight continues. Looking like this mid-fight is leaning towards 1021, but 1V is still very much in the thick of it. 1V sending a lot of blue marches back home right now. 1V starting to lose a lot of marches now, too. So this is going to go down to the wire, Chisco.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. If they've been leading on a scoreboard, that means that they might not even have the ability points, but they've got the quick hands. Hello, look at this carrier. Silver Rain like a bat out of hell emerging from the scrum. And the carrier's now fallen, but is there an opportunity here? That was a good carry. If ever you could create an opportunity, 5 seconds until somebody else has got the arc. No, 2, 1, new carrier. This is 1021. Moving the arc back toward the center. Oh,
Big
wow.
move.
A couple grabs there by 1V could make this a prolonged mid-fight. Already, the position advantage is to the side of 1V. If they lose the mid-fight, well, I guess we don't need to talk about if they're going to lose the mid-fight because it doesn't look like they are.
No, it's very red in the middle.
That is very red.
Telling you, man.
I'm confused.
Heaven's Grace is a thing.
Heaven's Grace is a thing. With only 6 ability points deployed against the 10 by 1021? How does 1V do it?
It's very solid. I mean, that's such a solid. I mean, the exact same thing happened last match where the expected winner by points usable in the middle from an alliance skill standpoint loses. Last match it happened against 1V. This time it happens for 1V. But now we do have 1021 trying to grab at least this Desert Altar. Lots of marches around here though to reinforce with whatever. It doesn't matter. Just put some marches in there, and that Joan will hold up nicely against no rally. But look at all the marches coming down for 1021. They know they need this. This bottom lane.
This is it, man.
Swarmed with marches.
This is it. This thing's looking like a pincushion over here.
Oh yeah.
They know what they got to do, right? All these marches coming down. All these marches coming down. I mean, if you're one of these teams, you do have a play in the playbook for this situation, right? It's a situation you don't want to be in, but it's the situation you prepare for.
Yep.
They've got a play in the playbooks. They know what they want to do here. It's just a question of whether or not it's going to work. Arc carrier here.
In, by the way.
This is strong. That's their leader that we saw earlier. Carrying the arc now. XY primary.
Still being harassed.
He is, and it's really relevant that this is happening.
Yep.
So if they can knock down the carrier here, it's going to buy them at least 15 seconds more to get into position, which may not seem like much now, but
it's holding up pretty well.
Yeah, I think that, dude, that Honda with XY is just really holding up. And Justin and Duke here really able to peel off for the carrier. So Hey, Guan Leo, let's go. Drago, that's your favorite commander doing work on the field.
I still think it's Guan Scipio. So
it's Leo, baby. It's Leo.
Well, let's see if it goes down. Let's see if it goes down. 1021 grabs this thing.
Leo. And then here comes another march for
Vindication,
1021.
By the way. 1021 taking out that Guan Leo like a champ.
Wow. I like this carry, by the way. Right of the obstacle here is really nice. Give yourself a little bit of space.
Talk about seconds. That's 20 seconds of marching.
Yeah, and this is all about seconds. It's an hour-long match, but every moment really matters here. But I do like that this Joan primary, it looks like they're going to get the job done. Drago, where are you at with the Joan Nevsky or Nevsky Joan?
I personally prefer Nevsky primary, Joan secondary, just simply because of Nevsky's third skill giving the fourth skill giving the 35% skill damage bonus to what essentially is 2 primary casts from Joan on the back end.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. You're doubling a 35% skill buffed top tier skill activation. I think that's the way to go in my opinion personally.
Yeah, I've had good experiences with that. Although I do like the tankiness of the Joan. I always like to look around and see, well, gosh, these guys a lot of them are using the Joan primary here. So it is interesting to see. There's hard push activated by 1V off the back of that mid fight.
So all 4 altars, by the way, Chisco, now 1021s, including the Shrine of War in the top lane. They're making some moves, doing what they can to, negate the importance of this arc. But this 3,500 point arc, while it doesn't have a whole lot of points for it, it's going to have an importance just simply because 1V can dictate the length of this match and ultimately how many arcs can be spawned here. This needs to be captured instantly if they want to have a third arc. And ultimately, I think the damage is already done. This is going to be a 2-arc game. Now, the question is, can 1021 reinforce again after taking this lane, the Desert Altar, and coming towards the arc to try and capture it? Or are they not going to have enough reinforcements coming in to continue to make that push?
I think if you're 1021 and you're holding 4 altars, you just got to go for the 4 altars now.
You got to hold it, right?
I don't think you can do that for 16 minutes, though, against this team. That's the problem for them.
I've seen it done. 1034 has done it. 1V has done that. They were losing by thousands of points, had lost 1 arc at a very inopportune point, and then 1V was like, okay, we're just going to do a structure game for the next 20 minutes, especially the last 10 minutes. They just held it and gained like 15,000 points in the last 10 minutes. It was incredible.
Yeah, not everyone can pull that off. In fact, I will say very few teams can actually pull that off. And already one of these altars has fallen.
Yep.
Now, the Guan Captain is maybe not the most ideal for 1V here. There it is.
Right.
Jadwiga stepping in.
Arc captured. Okay, no, arc grabbed.
They picked it up.
I need to change that wording on the screen where it says the arc has been captured. No, it wasn't captured. It was picked up. Up.
That gets me every time.
It is moving towards the obelisk, the relative safe area of the obelisk, although it is towards the front of that obelisk area. That's an interesting direction being chosen by the leader of 1V there. Conversely, though, 3 altars still in favor of 1021. Top lane Sky Altar is still very much blue, although it does look like eventually it will go down red.
Yeah,
There's
that's
just
flipping.
Too much swarm from 1V, and ultimately there it goes. And
the
now
excitement of that 4 altar push is now over.
And now
reality is kind of setting in here. We've got a point lead for 1V, and we have an arc in their hands. That's tough.
And if I'm 1V, right, I'm just holding this arc until about the 8-minute mark left in the match and capturing it, and then just holding my structures, pushing on the structures as much as possible, continuing the outpost. I mean, this outpost harassment has been devastating to 1021. I don't think they've given this as much importance as they've needed to. These outposts on the 1021 side have consistently been flipped red. I mean, right now they're red and generating points. Not only are they just flipped, but they're generating points. The other blue one's sitting there, at least for right now, but you have a double C sitting there rolling across there with XY and William, and then you also have Guan coming in from the right side. This has been 1,000 points at least, 2,000 points.
Yeah, I feel like that's the job you want done, but not the job you want to have.
Yeah, of course.
You know, like
it's the unsung hero. To me, that's the unsung hero.
The micromanagement that's involved in that is really astronomical, right? Because you've got 1 or 2 marches in the enemy backline, and then your other marches have to be functional somewhere else. It's very hard to do.
Yep.
And, you know, it's just a tip to people playing Arc, especially if you're newer to this game mode. If you can get all your marches kind of in one place, it's a lot easier to be effective while you play. And it is very difficult to try to manage cleanly open field fighting in multiple places, or even, you know, trying to reinforce multiple structures can be very tricky.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
It might sound simple, but, you know, reinforcing a structure is not about just getting into the structure, but also smartly retreating back to your city and refreshing at an opportune moment, joining rallies. And, you know, as we were saying earlier, the devil is in the details for the execution in this game.
I mean, this is an elite phase of Rise of Kingdoms. I mean, you don't get to the third match in a best of 3 in the finals in an Osiris League season without having every little piece of your strategy outlined to a T and executed during practices multiple times a week, if not more. You don't get here to do that. Arc is on the ground right now, just kind of chilling out in front of I Am Strong's city. We do have pushes coming back from both sides. 1021 trying to harass the Desert Altar. OneV trying to harass the Desert Altar, although looks like they held it out pretty well for now, but another major push coming from OneV towards that Sky Altar. On the bottom lane and top lane, we do have rallies and swarm incoming. So both teams understanding that it's about the structure game right now and trying to do everything they can with every minute that is left to generate as many points as possible. Shrine of Life on the bottom lane going down in favor of 1021, which is very beneficial for them considering they're down by 800 points and they're down by another 3,500 considering the Arc is now sitting in the camp of 1V. So there's a lot to do here. And again, there's another outpost flipped for 1V on the top side there, going to go back to blue, but ultimately it is 1V's currently stopping points being generated.
Yeah, I mean, the points per minute here being just a moment ago only 60, now 50 points per minute of difference here. That is not the velocity that Blackjack needs to get this win.
I mean, you need to have probably 200 to 300 points per minute consistently for the rest of the match to Delta. That's not even just having 200 or 300 points. You need to have 200 or 300 points more than your opponent if you're wanting to win this. Now, big push is coming in from 1V to bring back towards the obelisk area. I'm curious why this many marches are coming back. Maybe just refreshing to maybe do something. Not really seen them do that before on the bottom lane. Usually they just keep pushing.
Structure flips. Shrine of Life. No captain. We're rocking the Joan primary. Let's go. Have you expertised your Joan?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I have expertise my Joan. If you're a rally leader, you absolutely have to. And if you're in the Osiris League playoff system, you absolutely have to. Now, if you're trying to be very efficient with your very, very hard to come by sculptures, you don't necessarily need to make Joan expertise to make her to make her valuable. Certainly, obviously, expertise makes her the most valuable, but certainly usable non-expertise. Just get that first skill maxed out and maybe some of the extra stat skills, and you're in good shape. Similar to Guan. You know, Guan AoE silences with the best of them 5-1-1-1. So, I mean, you see a lot of people doing that on the open field in KVK, and then certainly in the regular Arc of Osiris format, especially for earlier, or for later kingdoms is the better word for it. But you know, you've got these two teams here who don't understand what it looks like to not have an expertise commander. So both of these teams bringing fully expertise commanders to the field.
Yeah. Chat is reminding everybody to spend all your Oryx in the shop. That is true. Pretty soon, you got to make sure you spend your Oryx and spend your Osiris currencies, because once this match is over, win or lose for your bets, you'll have about a week to spend down all those currencies, and then all the shops that have been open for months will shut down until the next season.
That is correct. A 700-point match right now in favor of 1V, plus 3,500, with that sweet golden arc sitting in the hands of Ashkandi, just kind of meandering around, visiting all the cities, saying, "Hey, look at this is the winning arc right here. Make sure that you guys, there it is. It goes in. 8 minutes left in the match, 8:41 to be precise, and that means it's all about structures and it's all about provisioning."
It's the home stretch, Drago.
Yeah, home stretch, and I think both teams have been doing quite a bit of provisioning for either side. I think 1V maybe has done a little bit better from an harassment standpoint. But again, if this match comes down to 2,000 points or something like that, I think the thing that really won this for 1021 or for 1V, if that's the way it ends up going down, is the outpost harassment. I think that being very one-sided, that phase of the game, outpost harassment just consistently going red throughout the entire match, whereas I haven't seen any harassment on the outpost for 1021 against 1V. I think that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's committing bodies to a task that there's just not enough bodies to go around.
It's not
for
flashy.
all the different things you want to do, you know?
Yeah. It's not flashy, but it needs to be done.
Yeah. This is obelisk capture.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep my eyes on this for a second here. 45 seconds.
How confident do they feel?
Will you port, Drago?
That's the question.
Are you porting? I'd port.
I mean, again, this is the final match of Osiris League Season 6.
You port for that, right?
I mean, there's two ways to think about this. Are you so confident that you're going to win that you can sacrifice 5 marches, and that's irrelevant now? It got taken back.
Looks like even 1V didn't want to commit a march to that. So okay, not even 1 march.
Yeah, let alone
not
5.
even the player who took it wanted to stay for that situation.
He's off to grab more outposts, probably.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true. You got gatherers to take down. We don't have time to sit in an obelisk.
Yeah, good point made by Chad as well. There's not only league bets, but also you do have the eye of talent, the eye for talent as well. So 1V was a presumptive heavy favorite going into the realm of Horus's, season here with Osiris League Season 6. Making it a game, making it a match is 1021, and certainly, I mean, it's still only a 3,900 point match right now in favor of 1V. I mean, that's 6.5 minutes. That's not necessarily GG. We still have 6.5 minutes really to decide who will be ground champion here for Osiris League Season 6. 1V obviously putting themselves in the best position possible by being in the lead with such a low amount of time left. But 1021 needs to make some moves, and it looks like they're trying to do that. Structures being rallied and sent for reinforcement marches across the board here, although 1V doing exactly the same thing and looking to try and take the Sky Altar in the bottom lane is 1V. Also Desert Altar under decent assault, but nothing crazy. Looks like 1021 has that solidified at this point. Maybe try and capture another obelisk and do that teleport. Maybe 2 minutes left. I don't know.
There's hard push. I mean, I believe the expression is smoke them if you got them.
That's it. There it is.
Yeah. If you've got ability points, just use them. It's got to be something. I imagine somewhere on the map we might even see War Drums or Mystical used. Just, when the points accumulate, what's left to do? Just every little bit of push that you've got. 4,000 point game.
Yeah,
wow.
This is looking very much like 1V's game to lose here. 5 minutes left. They are down by 80 points per minute is 1V. So that is exactly what 1021 needs to be doing. 80 points per minute times 5. That's 400 points. It's just not enough. And again, the provisioning would have had to have been so lopsided, which 1V has consistently been a 4,000 to 5,000, 6,000 point provisioner every single match of the Osiris League playoffs. And there's just, without committing 10 people to provisioning, and even then, with how much provisioning has been cut from a point standpoint, I just don't think 1021 is going to have it. But wow, what a 3-match series this has been. 1021 throwing heavy punch after heavy punch against 1V, but ultimately it looks like 1V is going to take this with 4.5 minutes left.
This is pretty exciting. And on the provisioning front, remember what happened at the start of the match, Drago? We were looking at this. We saw provisioners from 1V, and we did not see provisioners from 1021 at the start.
Correct.
So I really feel like
This is
1V is really well positioned here.
Yep.
And I like the play that 1021 made to pull the Provisioners to get extra advantage. It just didn't pan out.
Yeah, I mean, they just needed that second arc. They just really needed that second arc. 1V's structure game was just so dominant in the beginning of this match that it really put 1021 on the back foot, really requiring them to get that second arc. And the fact that they didn't really kind of spelled doom. And I think we said it even during the preparation phase for that second arc to spawn. Like, this is the game. Whoever wins this is going to get it. And right now it's a 4,400 point game in favor of 1V. So one arc wouldn't have done it necessarily from that standpoint, but it's a double swing, right? So you add 3,500 points to the 1V or to the 1021 side, and you remove 3,500 points from the 1V side. That's a victory for 1021. I really think that combination of the outposts and that second fight, that second arc being won by 1V, really kind of nailed the coffin for 1021. But what a great storyline 1021 has been, right? I mean, they consistently have been getting better and better and better every single Osiris League playoff season, culminating into a 3-game finals with, I think, what everybody considered to be the presumptive favorite to win the realm of Horus 1V. I mean, you can't ask for more, right?
Yeah, Drago, I don't know if you saw, but I was highlighting on the screen. I mean, I'm just, I have to say it. Moctezuma.
Oh, God.
1V's so confident. Moctezuma Honda, new meta. Mocti Honda meta incoming.
Where's the barbarians?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I'd say he's all that proficient at barbarians from personal experience.
Well, half of his skills only activate against barbarians, doesn't it?
Oh, man.
I mean, interesting.
For the memes. I mean, even Moctezuma making an appearance on camera here. You got to appreciate the nuance of the commanders and the meta choices made by these teams.
It's been interesting. We've said so far, a couple clips to take away from this match. Lohar causing a major push earlier. And now we're talking about Moctezuma.
What a move. Bullying the captain. Yadviga bullied by Lohar. You can just take a picture of that moment, and I feel like it tells a foreboding of what would happen in this match. A dark tale.
I mean, both sides are evened up right now. Points per minute total, again, even, but we are staring at what looks to be about a 4,500 point delta in favor of 1V. 1 minute left. Mystical formation being used, like Chiz said, smoke him if you got him. Over at the Shrine of War top lane, just to make sure that they try and hold that as much as possible. Looks like they will. Plenty of reinforcements in the area to swarm anything coming that way. 1 minute left on the bottom lane too. Mystical being used by 1021 on the top lane as well. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, really incredible that 1V is on the verge of getting this win here. One of the few teams to score multiple Ark of Osiris League victories. It's honestly really impressive to do.
Yep.
To take so many players, keep them so committed.
Ooh, the Ark's up. Go get it.
For so long. 20
they are
seconds.
Grabbing it, by the way.
Somebody's there.
Yeah, they are grabbing it, by the way.
Somebody's there.
If only there was an afterburner mode.
Now you enter your teleportation hack.
See, this is where you use the running charge skill.
And you enter teleport.
Yeah. This is where you use the running charge skill and Swift Stride at the same time and get back to your city in 4 seconds, and you win the match.
Oh, my. Here it is.
There it is.
We crown the winner of the Ark of Osiris League for Season 6. Wow. MVP's on the screen, and 1V is your returning title holder for the Ark of Osiris Championship. You noticing that provisioning kick in at the end there, too?
Yeah.
34,000 to 39,300. Almost 6,000 points of provisioning for 1V. And on the kill board here, they are, I mean, you see it. They won that second mid-fight, and it shows in these total kills. Wow. Drago, any thoughts here as we wrap up an insane, exciting Season 6 of Ark of Osiris League in Rise of Kingdoms.
Well, OneV is definitely going to get a well-deserved 2 in their Osiris League little insignia there above their standard. We've got all 3 phases of the game being won for OneV, the red team coming out strong and ultimately attaining victory against Blackjack 1021. I'm just staring at dominance. This is exactly what you want to see if you're an Osiris League team or an Ark of Osiris team in your respective kingdoms, guys. You want to win all phases of the game. Doesn't need to be by a huge amount. 500 points for the Ark of Osiris score, 3,000 points for the occupation score, and 2,000 points for the provision score. That's exactly what you want to see if you're the team that wants to win one of these sweet, shiny new Osiris League, placards. So, good job to OneV. Congratulations to them. 1021 putting a show of it. Honestly, I think a lot of people going into this didn't even think it was going to be a three match final, but ultimately taking that first match was Blackjack and making it a contest for sure, giving everything to OneV that they possibly could and making it something that we enjoyed watching for these last 3 weeks. I've enjoyed casting it these last 3 weeks as well, Chisco. Really appreciate you having me on.
Hey, it's been a pleasure casting with you, Drago, and I hope that you will be back. But if not, this was a hell of a match to cast and sail out on. Congratulations again to OneV on their championship. I have to imagine they're feeling a tremendous amount of relief.
It's over.
And GG, well played by Blackjack. Honestly, what an impressive team. You don't want to run into either of these teams in your regular weekend Ark of Osiris gameplay.
Might as well
Good
just
luck
chalk it
to
up.
you if you do. If you enjoyed the stream today, throw a like onto here and subscribe to the channel. It let the developers know that, hey, I really had a lot of fun watching this cast today. Also, Dragothian and I have content designed to help you get value, smash your enemies, and learn to be a better player in Rise of Kingdoms. So consider checking that out if you're looking for more information, or if you're looking for the history of Rise of Kingdoms official casts. Those are also available on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies, and we will see you here on this channel at 15 UTC for the next big matchup. You're not going to want to miss it.